Hello and welcome to Backstory for Session 4. In this session, we spent some time summarizing the context of the Bible story, which we introduced in the previous session. Now, this is so very important because if we don't get the context, the foundation, the trajectory right, we'll be all over the place and we'll end up with a book of doctrines instead of a beautiful God story about creation and its purpose. The context of the Bible story is the people of God. For this reason, the story begins with the people of God, or more specifically, with God inspiring Moses to write Genesis and the entire Torah for the children of Israel, the people of God in the Old Testament. And why did God inspire Moses to do this? The answer is to prepare and equip them to live a life on mission with God, to begin to outwork the covenant of blessing to the nations. Now, this covenant God had made beforehand with their forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So when we approach creation events chronologically, we begin with Genesis 1 verse 1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. But when we approach the Bible story chronologically, we begin with Moses and the children of Israel. Only by doing so can we begin to understand God's amazing story. And when we come to the New Testament, we find that God had inspired all the writers of Scripture to do exactly the very same thing and for the very same purpose, to prepare and equip God's people to live a life on mission with God. 2 Timothy 3:16 and verse 17. And you may like to read that from the New Living Translation. Very helpful. When we do this, to see the beautiful continuity of the story between the Old and the New Testament just flows so beautifully. It is very crucial that we read and study Scripture from this perspective. And when we do, oh my goodness, the Bible begins to make so much sense. And remember also that the Bible was written for believers, God's people, and not for unbelievers. Because of this context, we then refer to the Torah as God's curriculum in Moses' school of mission. And we looked at a couple of the foundational lessons, who Yahweh is and the importance of us working with God, entering into his rest rather than working for God, independent of him. We then, in this session, looked at the purpose of man's creation and that of being a king, exercising divine authority over God's creation on his behalf, and a priest, representing God's will into his world and the praises of God's world back to God. What we will see in our next session is the process that God uses to make us king and a priest and to fulfill this calling and to make it a reality. And the discovery that it's possible to fail to qualify for this royal and priestly role. This lesson, this very important lesson of qualifying for this role, was what Moses was teaching the Old Testament people of God, and this was so crucial to them fulfilling their divine call as a royal priesthood, just as it is in this New Testament for us. So this lesson from Moses' school of mission is of particular importance and significance. So I hope you enjoyed the session, and I'll see you next time. God bless.